Hi everyone, so as a part of flower illustration I have covered many flowers in the past like sweet pea flowers. All these are line and wash. So I have drawn everything first and then I apply watercolor into it, and the results are something like this. So if you want, you can refer to my previous video to learn about all these flowers. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how we can draw orchid flower with very simple and easy step. So let's start with today's video. So as a center part of the flower, the ovary of the flower, we need to create something like this. I'm showing you this in a bigger form. Let me trace everything with the help of pen as well so that you can see things clearly. So little round kind of pattern, and left and right you can create a fine curve like these. So this is the center part of the flower. This flower is pretty simple to draw, and then as a part of petal you can create something like this. So we need to create two petals left and right like these, little wavy around the edge, not very pointed, little broader as well, and then few more petals around it. Again, these all petals are wavy, but we need to arrange in a particular manner so that we can get an orchid flower. So that's all we needed for this particular flower. Let's compose these flowers together. So you can create a stem, and the direction of the whole stem wherein we are going to create multiple flower is totally up to you. I am creating two main stems. In one stem I am only going to keep flower buds, and in the another one I am going to create couple of flowers and flower bud. So just to define your flower, I am creating round pattern so that I can imagine my flowers could be in this particular place. And likewise you can define flower buds as well, and you will able to understand at the end what kind of composition you will get. So these guidelines are absolutely needed, I guess. So something like this you can create for flower buds as well. So for the flower bud, nothing special. I'm creating smaller round shape, and for the flowers I have created a little bigger. Now when leaves are concerned, for the orchid flower we don't have to do much. Very bigger leaf, little bit rounded from the top. You can keep the direction of leaves little bit tilted towards left and right. This one is quite bigger, so let me do it again. So little rounded, and you can keep the different perspective of these leaves, and you can also add folds into the leaves. So this is the guideline for the leaves, for the flowers, for the flower buds. So let's start with the first flower. So you can divide this into 4 equal quarters so that you will understand the center part of the flower. Now we need to create the center part of the flower, not in the center but little bit towards downward direction. So create the same shape what I have shown you earlier, little round pattern and then curve from left and right. And from the center part you can create two bigger petals like these, little wavy. So these two are the bigger in size, and then in between two you can create one more. So this one is the behind petal. Then you can create one more petal very smaller in size, something like this. You can have little folded pattern into it if needed, and then in between bigger petal and smaller petal you can create two more petals. Now you can imagine the orchid flower, I guess. This is quite visible. I'm tracing everything quickly with the help of pen so that you can see things clearly, but this flower is very simple to draw, trust me. So we don't have to do much. You can create the center part of the flower, then you can create two big petals left and right. You can create one behind petal from the top, and then you can create three more petals in the lower portion. Now I'm tracing the stems. You can make it a little darker. You can use any sketching process to make it darker, like hatching, cross hatching, contouring, all these things to beautify your stuff. If you want to learn about sketching process and technique, you can definitely refer to my previous video wherein I have shown everything about sketching. Now in the same way, let's do the another one. In this one, I'm keeping the center part of the flower in the center, but as you can see, the direction is a little bit different. Again, repeating the same thing, I have created the center part of the flower, 3 big petals and 3 smaller petals in the lower portion. 3 petals are front and 3 petals are behind. Now in the third one, this one is pretty close to second one, so we need little bit of overlapping. Whenever you are trying to do anything in a group, little bit of overlapping between the flowers is something needed, I guess. So you don't have to do much, you just need to create incomplete flower. So half part is hidden because of front flower, you can imagine like that. But as you can see, the process is same, we are repeating the same thing. Now you can adjust the size a little bit. I think the gap between these two flowers are too much, so I'm keeping the petals little bigger in size. And that's why I like to do things with the help of pencil first, so that we can modify things as per our need. Now let me trace everything quickly, and then we are going to do a little bit of extra shading and detailing into it. Now connect all the flowers together with the help of stem. For the flower bird, you don't need to do much. You can simply create a round shape and then you can create a little bit of pattern around it. So what you can do is you can create a small dot inside the circle like this, and then you can create curve like these. And that's all we needed for the flower bird, I guess. I'm keeping it very simple. And then at the tip you can create little bit of smaller pattern. Just a rough pattern is also fine. Now we're done with the flowers. We're going to do some extra shading and detailing. Meanwhile, we can complete the second stem and we can cover all the flower birds. Now you have understood what needs to be done for the flower bird. It's very simple. Little bit of oval shape or round kind of shape, and then you can create the center part from the upward portion, and then you can create more lines and pattern to make it a little darker. If you are using watercolor, this should be in green color. So these things you can do at the end. I'm going to paint it using line and wash technique. That's why we are doing everything with the help of pen, and then at the end I'm going to use watercolor to paint it. And this is the simplest way to paint any structure, I guess. And as I've shown you, you can do the same thing for many other flowers as well. Now, as a part of shading and detailing, you can leave those 3 tiny portion, and rest other area you can make it darker. So you will see a little weird face kind of pattern in the center part of the flower is what I feel. And then you can do little bit of shading and detailing with very soft hand from the top to bottom for the behind petals. And then for the 2 big petals, you can create tree branch kind of pattern. So you can create line, then sublines, then divide that into more sublines like a tree branch. So that is something you can do for 2 bigger petals. Maybe you can say for 3 front petals and light shading for 3 behind petals. You need little darker shade in the center part of the flower except those 3 tiny structure, and basically now you need to repeat the same thing for all the 3 flowers that you have. So I'm showing you only 2, and then you can repeat the same thing for the third one. Now you can start with the leaves. So you can trace everything first. The outline of the leaves. You can use little bigger pen. Mine is quite smaller in size, but it's fine. Rub all the unwanted pencil mark and then create more sublines like these from the center line. And you need to repeat the same thing for all the leaves that you have. And then with very soft hand, you can do some hatching process around the leaf area. You can do it at one side, you can do on both the side, depend on how much darker shade you need. If you keep the lines very close to each other, you will get darker shade. If you're keeping the lines at distance, you will get lighter shade. So these things you can definitely do to beautify your stuff. So make sublines and do some hatching and cross hatching. So hatching means creating parallel lines and cross hatching means creating cross line about the parallel line that you have created. So I'm doing hatching for 2 leaves which is on the right side, and I also did some cross hatching for a couple of leaves as a part of shading, although it's not very important. And we are done with the composition, we are done with the drawing, we are done with the extra shading and detailing. Now the last thing which is pending is watercolor. So with the help of purple color, I'm going to paint my flower. I'm using very light shade of purple just to demo the line and wash technique. So I'm using purple color around the petal area, and I'm especially using around the edges because I want to keep the center part of the flower a little lighter and white in color. So now you can see, because the structure is already defined, it's very easy to put some color around your petal area. I'm not using my brain. I'm just putting color around my petal area, leaving the center part a little bit negative. So we can see white area as well. And then you can also use a little bit of yellow color. So I'm using a little bit of yellow color around the center part of the flower, and that's all I needed for this particular flower. You can definitely use all the watercolor techniques to paint this particular flower once you're done with your structure. Now for the leaves as well, I'm doing the same thing. I have used sap green color at one side of the leaf, and then with the help of clean water, I'm spreading color a little bit to get a little lighter shade. You can also paint the stem area, you can also paint the flower bud. And if you want, you can do a little bit of background touch with the help of green color or whatever color you like. We're done with today's video. That's all we needed. And hope this video is helpful for you guys. Please do let me know if you have any kind of feedback for me. And thank you so much for watching. See you guys in the next video.